Welcome to our special meeting on November 29th. On the agenda today is we're discussing the purchase and sale agreement with possible action. Hopefully there will be action. And also after that, we will be discussing our preliminary draft budget. On the third item is a discussion about the 1% levy, but we're going to table that until December 4th meeting. So it'll just be the two items today. So we are in welcome Bob Hull, Jeff Perry, and there's Travis over there too. Welcome everybody. Okay, shall we get into the weeds?
I think that my client just needs to address you about the finance clause and
also Pete, can you hear us fine?
Yes.
Okay. So
if I could just make a couple of initial comments. First, I'd like to thank Bob for being responsive and available in such short order here the last couple of days as we work through a number of details and even here at the last here this afternoon getting exhibits routed and things like that. I just wanted to express my appreciation.
thank you. And I appreciate the same of you guys. You guys have been a delight to work with. So
great, thank you. Anything else, Kate or Steve? No?
No.
So everything else, I guess for the record, then everything else looks good, acceptable, except
Jeff will just keep the financial matter.
yeah, 10.1 would be what it would be talking about.
10.1, I'd like to address, generically, I understand the different points. I'm curious what the board's concern was, because I thought everything else was flowing one way, but then towards the end here, as we're working through the agreement, that clause came back in and said, okay, there is this out, if you can't get financing through grants and what have you, which we understood. If you don't finance through a promissory note, okay, that was kind of backup plan in case things got hung up funding wise. That there's the other option, what the board sees that might, trigger this not to be acceptable to moving ahead. So just, what thoughts were going through the board's mind on that? Because I thought we covered, people set up, we got it resolved pretty much, but, I'm not super hung up about it, but I'm just curious because it came back in, so to speak.
Can I, without interfering, Chairman, you might want to say?
Yeah, I'll chime in just real briefly. The offer of seller financing is appreciated, okay? But the goal is to have these expenses covered from available grants and other participating agencies. And the scenario that where a grant may not be immediately available at closing, but where the financing being offered by Mr. Carey provides a bridge, if there's certainty that grant funds or available funds will ultimately become available to pay off the promissory note, that's a great, that's a good scenario. That's appreciative of Mr. Carey offering that. But the proposed financing as a permanent solution, if no grants become available, I think the port should be able to take a pause right there and decide whether or not to pursue it.
I just talked with the Department of Commerce yesterday, and they're the ones that have the 388,000. They're really fast with their reimbursements because we do not have that in the bank. But she said we can do that. We can do like 100,000, and she'll reimburse it within a couple of days. She checks her reimbursements every morning, and just do it in segments, and that would get him paid really quick and not hurt us at all. And they're totally on board with that.
Okay, but it has to be tied to an expense,
Right.
and we're only going to have an expense at closing, and so the scenario would be is that you go to closing, actually incur the expense, and then and then Department of Commerce funds 2 days later. And so there is a technical gap right there. And so whether the promissory note comes into play for a handful of days, or during the feasibility and inspection period, that's just something else we work out as more details come available on the sequencing of the money and everything. But it with these grants, it's really hard to get grant funds into closing. So the simultaneous act occurs of the exchange of funds for the deed sort of deal.
So can I chime in now on that? So the promissory note concept was really not the fix. It needs to be an option. There's a difference. And we have to be protected here in case anything does happen. Because the reality is that without that, we shouldn't even be doing that. We are responsible. But that is an option that we keep on the table.
Right. I comprehend what Pete's saying. You know, that there's this problem always with grants. And, you know, to me, it was like, maybe we worked it out where everything's held in escrow and everything finally shakes out and everything's in place, then it funds, you know, and I'm open to that. But if that's truly the cause or the reason this is occurring this way, then I can see the court's point of view. Do not have an issue with it.
Very well.
I think that's important that we keep that.
Right, it's not really that you want the ability to stop, it's the fact that you don't know. You may get 2 of the funds, but not the 3rd, as an
Right.
example. Okay, in other words, and that was just mess everything up. And then, you know, and it gets messy from that standpoint. So I comprehend that and I can appreciate that, you know, as conservatives, is there another plan in this whole thing? But no, that makes sense, so.
I have a question, Pete. So-
Yeah.
So the January 20th, 2024, we're just talking about obtaining the fit financing, not the closing. I'm sure that's
Correct. Yeah, that, just so you know, in the draft that was routed this morning, we have a couple of different timelines running, and they're not perfectly synced up, but that's okay. It's just that there's a financing timeline, and that's to get comfortable that you have all your grants in place and you know when the funds are going to land and the mechanisms for making them land.
right.
And hopefully that'll all be resolved by January 20th.
Okay. And then,
If you,
oh, sorry.
let me walk through the entire financing scenario, because if the timing of the funds gets spread out, but you've already entered into all the grant contracts and you've otherwise performed, it's just that the timing's bad, then you have until January 29th to decide whether to use the promissory note option really as a bridge.
Right.
Okay, until the other funds become available. And because of those 2 dates, the 20th and 29th, the closing date was changed from February 2nd to February 9th, just to provide some breathing room between that decision and closing.
All right. Thank you.
Everything else okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Forgot my question.
Oh,
No, thank you very much, Pete.
I'm sorry.
I said thank you.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Commissioner. An exhibit B, which is the asset schedule for the community water system, it was provided today, and I looked at the title real quick because I had to run to a doctor's appointment this afternoon, and then I had a chance to take a closer look when I got back. There's some items in Exhibit B that I don't think should be included because they're they're characterizations and they're future possibilities. They're not actual assets. And so what I'd like to do is just real quick talk about Exhibit B and see if we can amend it in real time. And then we can send you a revised agreement ASAP while you're still meeting on your budget so that you'll have it for signature. Does that sound okay to everyone?
Yeah,
Yes,
Yes,
I'm sure you can, it's a short document, so.
Okay, so like in 1F, that's not an asset.
okay,
Okay.
Nor is section 2.
Yeah, in section 2, C should come out because that's, the could serve and what it might generate and those sort of things. That's not an asset. That's an analysis. That's good information to have, but it's not really an asset.
yeah, Pete, some of these were, the reason these were included originally, and there's no disagreement on these first two. Originally, they were included because we were trying to determine price in initial meetings. And so part of determining price is, okay, what is the assets, but then also what's the capability?
Oh, sure. I get you. Yeah. And so, but I just, yeah,
okay, so
perfectly understandable. So 3 looks fine, 4 looks fine, and then water service connects. It seems to me that 2B says currently serves 15 users. The with ready to connect, with 8 ready to connect ASAP, with 11 meter ready, with 5 1-inch poly lines, and ability to connect an additional 8 lots. It seems like B, C, D, and E are more descriptors of future, growth and opportunity than an asset.
Agreed, in a sense, again, it was covered to saying, okay, what's the capability price? But as far as an asset, I agree.
yeah, so I like it a lot for my purposes to understand the whole big picture. You're right, it doesn't belong in the contract, and that's what, so it's good that it's here, but not for the next signature.
But not as the purpose for which this exhibit serves.
Agreed.
And then the only thing that and now I'm jumping back to 11, section 11.5. Okay.
so it's 6, okay, on this exhibit B, 6 is
Yeah,
on-
we'll make those changes and get them and substitute it out. Okay.
Okay,
So you'll have a clean version here shortly. In 11.5, Bob indicated in a message that we had referenced a particular groundwater, or excuse me, application with Ecology G2 something, and it was mentioned that has either expired or has been terminated. That particular permit has. So, and Bob had suggested that we just change it to assign any water right applications generically. Well, I really think I think we should change 11.5 to say assignment/transfer of water rights. And then have the language say seller agrees to assign and transfer any water rights associated with the water system to the purchaser at closing.
No, I don't see any issues there. That's fine. Yeah.
okay,
Okay. So that's my only other comment. Based upon the hard work by all involved the last couple days.
They agree with those changes. They agree to the changes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good with all that. Yeah, it's fine.
And I am too. I just have one last question. It's not really relevant to where we need to be today. But if you don't mind me asking, Pete and Bob, when do we deal with the flow of the contingencies and the release of the monies from escrow? At what point do we follow that bouncing ball and we deal with that specifically?
Did you hear that?
Could you?
I didn't
repeat
hear.
that?
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Can I
go ahead.
reiterate? He basically would like a timeline of the contingencies.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it's, we're gonna do two things. And Kate's already working on them this today.
Yeah, I've started that timeline for
Is,
you.
is
Good.
we're gonna map out the timelines and all the forks in the road,
Okay,
okay?
yeah,
So everyone's on the same page in terms of that. And then we're gonna also outline, in essence, a due diligence list. So that we're very specific on assignment of responsibilities as really between, this is all on the port side, right? But who's going to be responsible for looking at certain things and reaching a conclusion that, we're still 2 thumbs up to proceed.
right,
And so, some of that is like, who's going to work with Northwest Water Systems? Who's going to actually get the consultant involved is probably Northwest Water Systems to provide a report to the port regarding the condition of the system and that sort of thing. And we're working with Tyson on the water rights side now, and Kate had a wonderful conversation with Tyson yesterday. And as I indicated to Judy this morning, after hearing that feedback, my blood pressure went down a little bit on the overall deal.
okay,
But just we'll have a timeline and we'll have a due diligence list, so nothing slips through the cracks. Everyone will have specific proposed assignments. Work with Leanne to make sure that all those assignments make sense, and then we're off and running.
thank you, you totally answered my question, Pete.
Thank you. Well, I guess go ahead and make the changes.
Yeah,
All right.
And you guys need to
Look
do
at
your thing.
Yeah.
and we need to stay here till they make the changes.
Correct, and we'll take a look.
Yep. Okay. The changes were recorded. They're part of the record. If the commission wanted to take action right now, and we just shoot the document to you so that you have it, well, I mean, you can do that, or we'll go make the changes and get it to you, whatever you're comfortable with.
What are you guys comfortable with?
It's
Well, I'll tell you,
I
Pete,
don't care either way, it's up to you, yeah,
Go ahead, Ted.
but I did.
Ted?
as long as Mr. Carey and the council's agreeable, I say we agree upon the changes. If they agree upon them, we approve it, you make the changes, we sign off.
Sounds good to me. You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we agreed upon, excuse me, Leanne, is this meeting being recorded?
Yes,
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the changes as agreed upon. A final document will come. We will, as a commission, approve those agreements and changes as long as it satisfies Mr. Carey and his council.
Okay, so we will approve the purchase and sale agreement with changes, correct?
Correct. I should have said that a little bit shorter.
I got you.
No, that was
Yeah.
good.
That's good.
Just reiterate.
I will second that motion, with the changes that we agreed on today, for approval of the sale and purchase agreement.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
A move. We've
That
done.
was-
Thank you everyone for your time, and it'll hit Leanne's email here in minutes.
Okay, perfect.
thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
While we're waiting for that, you guys had asked as far as the budget, what, help desk salary covers.
So,
And let me tell you, I rethink that. We've used them almost every day.
It's still processing. them.
Yeah.
could we time out just a second before you jump into the budget?
Sorry.
Um,
Trying to be productive.
I'm trying to
Thank you.
figure out, okay, so they'll send a form, you
Yeah.
sign in. The question, and I'm trying to figure out, does Bob stay here or does he? What was he on?
I don't think you need to stay here, at
You
least.
stay here, I don't need to witness signature.
You're gonna sign it too, right?
You don't want to.
Unless
No.
you feel uncomfortable.
No, the only thing I would say is this, when a copy comes, email Bob and just quickly let, see if anything weird happens along the way.
You get notices when you get one in?
Yes, it'll go ding.
Okay.
So that'd be it.
Bob at Adept Law, ADEPT law.com.
All right.
And Bob, as somebody that unfortunately I didn't get to shake your hand, but thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, it was fun.
So in theory, in theory,
Oh, good stuff. We're gonna try that.
when we sign this, you'll be going, getting up with Debbie and talking to him and sign it this evening.
Yeah, in other words, I can hear signature too, but we've talked about that because she's right now in Silverdale, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and it's okay to sign in counterparts. What that means is she can sign it. A copy of it.
Right.
And you can sign
And
a
then
copy.
say-
Yeah,
Right.
if that's not there, you all gotta sign one document. Kind of, you know,
But you have to stay here until it's
I'm
on.
fine. I'm clear.
And I will say, if you need to.
No,
I'm out.
I don't, I mean, nothing else should change. I agree, there's nothing peculiar about what he's asked for the asset list. There's nothing about 10.5 or 11.5, and there's nothing about 10.1.
No, we're pretty much done, and I'm not worried about it, it's the contract change, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
In this area. So. I understand
History. Wonderful thing.
Sometimes.
In my new world, academic world, we call it a restory.
that. A restory?
I don't know about a restory. That doesn't sound right.
Oh, no, it sounds good. Reframing everything from here on out.
Oh, reframing, yes.
Everything's a narrative now, that's what I hear.
Okay, so anyway, okay, so now you go ahead. I just
All
want,
right.
so that you can,
Yeah, clarify what he needs to do.
so I know how much I'm saving. I just keep teasing him.
And I need that involved membership.
I know.
You're welcome to stay around. I can.
Looks like you need to go back.
Another
out.
copy.
He's probably not black enough.
Hey, thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take a look at it when it comes.
Thank you.
Still waiting to hear that little
I
name.
know. I'm like a dog.
Okay, you can go down to your budget things.
It will be.
Let me take a quick look here. Do you need a copy? Do you want to look at the budget?
Is that a new one,
Yeah,
Yeah.
please?
And it's still gonna be another new one. I just, let Aaron know to put 15% of all administrative fees, like the truck, the gas, everything.
Just everything.
They're driving the truck.
operational and.
Yeah.
For water. Yeah, for water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
You can't do dock stuff and.
No,
No, Doc,
Yeah.
stop.
But everything else, we're gonna go ahead and have that 15%, that's gonna balance it out.
because it's real too.
Yeah.
Well,
I gave this a lot of thought after you
Yeah.
mentioned, suggested it.
and it's, the only thing I would say is that I would believe the board should state that this is interim, because in time, you're gonna want to actually
Make a
review
Real analysis.
analysis of really what it is.
Right.
But we all can agree it's 10 or 50, percent of the time is at least going to that.
We've done it before, so.
It may be more,
Yeah.
it may be less, there may be different areas, but I don't feel that you couldn't publicly justify that,
Right.
15% or 10, whatever you're gonna take there is applicable to the water system.
I talked to Don, and he deals with it a lot.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, going out and turn the water off, and when we're closed,
50% of it.
yeah.
At least a third of the time I walk in here, she's doing billing, or
That's
doing something, answering a phone call for water system issue
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff,
like-
and that's all.
copier, that's paper, that's. Yeah.
So 15% enough?
Not for now, I believe.
I think you start with a number and just almost like a policy, say, because we haven't done it, but we know we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're starting to this, but it is the intent of the board or, to revisit this and to,
Yeah.
get a more
Yeah.
accurate handle on what it really is.
Get it more in line, because we might find out later on, we want to put 30% of administrative things and 10% operational or whatever.
Yeah.
But 15% gets moving and then aligns us more with the place where it be.
And she separated the budget, she put the water system on a totally separate page, so it's not confusing. Do I have that one?
Second page, two,
That's what's good.
or maybe the third page.
Well, with the 2 pages still.
Oh, yeah. So, what's gonna happen if there's gonna be a lot more line items on the water budget?
Oh, there it
Right,
is.
right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, gotcha.
And she's probably gonna be able to get to that by Saturday, I'm pretty sure, because she also works full time and has children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ted, did you get the new budget?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Can you even hear? Because there I was with my back again.
No, I got, well, I'm pardon, I didn't understand that. But I did receive the new budget.
okay.
Okay, so what we're talking about is taking 15% of all of our fees, like the truck maintenance, gas, because Dawn's up there all the time working on stuff and helping customers. I do the water billing, so the paper we buy, the copier lease, you know, there's expenses that need to go under the water system that we don't currently do. And
I
then,
understand that. So I agree. 15% is, if we start the benchmark now and we start our costs in the future, we'll get a finite number
Yeah.
or adjusted number off that. So I agree with 15% total time, especially with your time and Dawn's time. I agree with that.
Any other time that we're doing any of those water system operations, we can also document in the office and Dawn can. And then we can compile all that data at the end of a month or at the end of a year and see if we're getting to that 15% or it's costing us more.
yeah, because I feel phone calls all day long. Most of my phone calls are water system customers. And getting them set up and clarifying things for them, so, yeah.
I can contest to that.
And you're just about getting ready to get busier.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
With the water.
Yes, you're gonna be busy.
Okay, if we're good with that. I have questions on a couple of issues.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and dive into questions, whatever you need to do.
So you addressed the contract with the lobbyists, in fact, you talked to them.
Yeah.
What kind of savings will you get there?
She hasn't gotten back with me, I'll have to call her first thing in the morning.
So it's a call.
I can call her tonight.
So we.
Leanne, what I would suggest on the lobbyists is that we're looking to replace that pier, which is going to cost a whole lot of money. I would suggest that we cap the lobbyist fee at $25,000 this year and have the lobbyists, Holly, focus on one thing, is replacement of the pier. They've done a wonderful job on the water district, the oyster house. And if we could just focus on one thing, let her work her magic within the state legislature and the Congress and see if we can find out money. And just know this is going to be if we can knock this thing out, 25,000 to start working on grants to replace our pier, I'd be more than happy.
Or less, rather than throw a number at them, Commissioner, see what they come back with. If we had them do just what you suggested, what does that dollar amount look like? And then maybe it's a lot less than that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they'll only have one project, that's what Ted said the other day, and that makes sense.
Right.
They've been working on how many projects for us?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that, but I know if she's gonna line that money up for us, it's gonna take a couple trips back to DC, and we're gonna lose one congressman. We're gonna have to re-educate another congressman or congressperson. So I agree with both Commissioner Sheridan, is that if she wants to do it for less, but I don't think that's going to happen. So whatever they come up with, I'm more than happy.
So what did you find out? Oh, go ahead.
It's fine. That way, it forces me not to talk, or I'll just raise my hand. Question, I'm looking at the budget and I'm still having problems finding that. Issue dealing with the loans and stuff that the court's paying. Because I know for next year, there was a document,
Which,
What's that?
the line of credits.
oh, yeah, the 120. Well, which we didn't borrow the 120 fully.
I can't find them. What I'm gonna do is call the bank and get a date as to when we took that out, or if it's still sitting at the bank.
I believe that's what we owe them.
Yeah, and we
I
have
think we were larger than that
14,000.
credit, we actually owed them that. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's
I don't think we borrowed it.
I don't know if Larry got to it. We had
Okay.
approved taking 100,000.
I understand that. What I'm saying is there was a document showing about this year. I don't know, I can't remember if it said last year or this future, but it came out to around 48,000 for the year between three different items. And if they didn't happen, that's fine. If they did happen, that's fine, but somewhere, if they did happen, something should be showing.
Absolutely.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
I did find one, and that's it's in our capital budget, and it's 10,000 in our capital budget. The one was 14. Wait, maybe it was 14 in the capital budget. We paid it down to 10,000 something, and that's
What loan was that?
let me see. I don't know if that's Kitsap Bank or the county. I was looking at county reports. I should figure out the county reports.
I'm pretty sure we did not. I know that he had a line of credit for 100,000, but I don't think we took it.
I'm not sure that we did either, because that was right towards the end.
Correct.
Yeah, let me print out the county reports. Will do.
Yes.
And I realize I'm jumping a little bit. I know you all have, a purchase, and I don't disagree that you need to go nitty gritty down through the budget. But there's some big things, big pieces that I want to make sure that we don't lose track of. And I'm gonna make a records request today or tomorrow from Dan to look at a couple things at your books. But I'm concerned, looking at what's happened and how things are transpiring between Cedarland and the port, looking at things that are happening with the booster, sub booster with Kitsap Housing. And looking at understanding some questions, reading between the lines with the memory care center and things like this. I am concerned that we're not getting all our funds in, or the appropriate funds.
Yeah, I forgot about,
Because and I just don't have the timelines in my, I know what they are total, but I don't have the timelines. So as an example, on Kitsap Housing, there's 12 lots. If I understood how they did it, there should be, 72,000 that should have came in, and I would have thought that would have came in this year.
right?
But I don't see 72,000 unless it's split between two different categories.
I think we got, I think it was 65,000 that we paid for the whole program.
For Kitsap Housing,
Yeah,
when was that? Do you remember?
I'm gonna look it up right now.
And I'm not saying that when I ask the question, I'm not asking you to give me an answer this second,
I know.
because I understand the nature of the problem. So don't feel like I'm putting it on the spot that we have to get the answer today. But I'm just concerned because reading between the lines, and what Leanne was asking me a question for the memory care on a different item. And I'm thinking that kind of gave me a clue that possibly things didn't get credited or applied correctly with the development of that. And looking at the policies, how my contract, the contract of the water system, how I was raising this issue about the clause for the, putting a booster on later on or extending the system. Well, last night I read through the policy book of reports, at least what's on that I have from the 2018 water system plan.
Yeah.
If it's been amended, I don't have it, but at least that water system plan, I don't know for a fact, but I get the feeling that there's at least 3 different things that aren't being applied correctly. And when I say applied, meaning revenues outstanding that we should have gotten that we didn't get.
Okay,
because of misapplying the policies.
So the question mark,
Okay.
can you tell, you kids that pound in what the other two that you mentioned?
Cedar and Homes.
Yes,
And then they have it now, memory care,
Remember care having it now.
which is not built yet.
Right, and another reason that comes to mind is. A lot of times I just take input and I just pile it in my brain and
Yeah.
then things come to mind.
Right.
So when I'm debating with Larry about boosters,
Yeah.
all of a sudden I find out. That Kitsap Housing's putting a sub booster, maybe,
oh,
and the port's designing it because Larry's asking, well, how much is that bill gonna be? And I'm saying,
I'll figure
so
out.
why are you forcing me to design your system and pay for it when you're have unlimited?
Yeah.
And
that's
I
interesting.
don't wanna get in the business
Yeah.
of saying, because somebody's not here any longer to say. I'm not going down that path,
No.
I'm just saying that. My read of your policies and what's going on out there are not in sync.
So here's what Larry did. This is the memory care center. And he did one commercial hookup for 25,000. And then for Kitsap Housing, they did 12 hookups for 63,000 residential,
Okay, so
and that's paid.
was your 5250, was that what's in effect at the time, or
Probably, yeah, it was.
it's 930? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and then these are our county financials. Okay, so capital projects,
And probably that 20, okay, so I understand what happened if. Not looking in detail, but looking at the records generally. The issue that happened with Kitsap Housing. Is fine. With those first 12.
Okay,
You know, they're doing 8 or 9 more upstream. And just as a side note, which I think I shared with you, Judy, or maybe it was with Leanne. When you acquire my system. There is the option, there's a valve on the end of my southern line.
Okay.
They could use one of the routes you're taking to feed the backside. Of Kitsap Housing.
really?
Okay,
And we would require no booster. For Kitsap Housing. See, this is where I believe the port isn't. It's not being misled, but it doesn't have anybody to give checks and balances to what's being proposed.
I understand.
And it's costing us all in the end.
Yeah.
right,
So there's
Okay.
a shortcut that could get them up and going without a booster.
okay. So we got a document that's somewhere, so we don't forget.
So what's interesting about
Just
that,
asking.
I mean, that,
Okay,
and whether I didn't know that, but. But now that we know that, that wouldn't even be on the table, if we won't move forward with your situation, so this is really.
No, but see, Larry should have been, see. In my mind, these are things that could have motivated closing the deal sooner. In other words, if you knew that we're doing this. Without bad mouthing anybody, this is what I was concerned about the communication and dealing with just the director. And when we don't, I'm not saying let's fix the past.
Right,
I'm saying when you get a new director in here, whoever it is. That there has to be another mechanism because. Who's grading the grader? I mean,
yes,
I'm not saying he's doing anything illegal or behind anybody's back, but. We all have a tendency, I mean, I have policies and I have to come back to them and read them and know what I'm supposed to do. I haven't been to RCWs, I have to read them again to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
and you bring up a good point, so we already know that so all this is part of addressing, or rewriting the policy.
well, and plus, like what you saying, getting the checks and balances.
Yeah.
You need some, the fourth, my opinion. And I don't know who that is, in this case, that happens to be kind of me, because I see it from a different angle.
Yeah.
But whether you're doing the Oyster House, or you're doing the dock project, or you're doing this development, or the water. There has to, you need somebody other than, I mean, unless, we all can't be experts. I'm only lucky in that, that's my neighborhood, so to speak, and I'm into it and what have you, but. You know where I'm going.
Yeah, I do, and I think that's where, now that we kind of have some extra staff, you know, because it was only just kind of.
Yeah.
anyway.
Right.
Because that could be something to help create check and balances as well. But there's other, like the water person, we don't have to work with water, I think, would be kind of that check.
Right.
Oh,
If you took, for example, and I don't want to cause problems with people building stuff, it's not 9-10.
right,
It's try to balance all scales, and like, you got this, I got this, it should be this, whatever. But you take that, you go look at what. Rite Aid paid to bring that building onto Delta Water.
what did they do?
It's a lot bigger number than what you charged.
Oh, yeah, right,
So what, and I'm not talking about just because of all the problems Delta Water had. I'm talking about through their policies, through the process, they're connected. I mean, you go look at, take Walgreens and Port Orchard, look at their number and see, because first of all, these are 50 beds, which is different than a retail outlet.
yeah, really.
And the county has a way of figuring, and if you applied the way the county does figuring, that number would be a lot higher. That doesn't, I feel bad for them because somebody, their engineer is not telling them things too.
Yeah.
Before he gets down to the thing, because he has a standing open permit to go ahead and go ahead, but he owes the county X amount of money.
So,
And I think nobody said this, but I'm thinking what's causing some friction is the number of sewer connections. And because the way the county would take them is if you got 50 beds, so more than likely they would say. You take 50 like residences and you go 0.7 or 0.66, and then that becomes the new number. And so all of a sudden he's looking at, 30 some sewer connections. Fees. So that, so that's what, 200,000.
Yeah,
right,
So, and I'm not saying we need to jack people's rates around, but I'm saying we gotta get this under control,
Yeah.
because on the one hand. The port's charging a good number on residential, and on the other hand, it's giving a deal over here, and that's not really what you wanna do, because then everybody starts to war on you.
so we need to sit down and create a policy that's consistent and have all the checks and balances, in place.
And my belief,
for each or what.
my office, you can't hear when we talk.
He's gotta take two to Debbie to sign,
Okay,
and she can sign a copy by herself. Is that what they were saying?
Should be able to, it's not notarized.
we're gonna take a quick little side note, let's get these
Okay.
signed.
And these are for us, one for Jeff, one for us, and then we can take that one home to Debbie.
I want to compare it to my notes.
And I'll bring it down to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or- because-
We got everything.
That's fine, and then you can look at what you need.
Yeah.
Is that the final draft?
It is.
Yeah.
Let me
Okay.
forward it to you.
Okay,
I think you were seeking maybe, but. No,
She's sending it to you right now, Commissioner.
Oh, so we don't sign, she does,
yeah,
okay. Good deal.
very,
Just like in to the last.
does it need notarized? Because I'm not supposed to notarize.
I don't think it would be all right.
The notarizing, my understanding is when actually the title changes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe that you need to make a motion that she could sign this if we all agree. Because we only made, no, we just made a motion that,
Pete Frankly got us do that.
we rescinded it.
we
remember?
rescinded it. Yeah, so,
See, you should have left it in there.
right, we can make that motion right now.
Yeah, let's make a motion.
Are you following Commissioner Jackson on what we're doing
He
now?
doesn't have this yet,
Good catch.
Commissioner, we just discovered that, Leanne is the only one that needs to be able to sign this purchase and sale agreement. We don't all need to, but when our last meeting, we rescinded her ability to sign with my approval. So we need to go ahead and have her approved again. So we need a motion to approve her to sign the purchase and sale agreement.
gotcha. Thank you.
So can I entertain a person, do you wanna make the motion, or would you like?
I
to?
did, it got rescinded last time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, I wasn't comfortable after I thought it was a good idea, but now I'll go ahead and make a motion that that we approve as that with this existing a new contract that we all agreed on today at this meeting, that Leanne give her authorization to sign this on our behalf.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So move. There you go.
29, one day before.
I thought it was Tuesday.
Do tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Are you done? She needs to sign too.
Yeah.
So,
Because you actually need 4 copies, right?
Yeah,
also, I didn't need to sign 4 times,
Yeah, yes.
Pretty much.
and so sure,
do you need to sign, do we need to sign Debbie's, or we just need a copy with Debbie's signature to go with our copies?
I don't know.
You know, it's always cleaner if you have it all in one document.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
that would be good. So do you wanna take, does she wanna come down tomorrow?
I should come down one.
Okay,
For
because
sec-
I'll only take a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the morning, so that you don't just have hours to spare.
So we know you're not forging her signature.
Or AIing it. You want me to use that one and take that one, or which, so, oh,
She'll have to sign both, and then you'll get a copy and a copy.
technically you only need 2 copies.
Right.
Okay, so you can
Yeah, you guys can keep
keep one and I can keep one, and then you're gonna email Ted.
I already did. yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ted.
You're welcome. Hey, commissioners, I have somebody knocking at my front door. Can I just take a 2-minute, a brief break? And I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I get in?
Hopefully they're not our foundation.
okay.
Okay. Okay.
So these two.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a folder?
I have a question, Leanne.
Yes.
You just handed me this document. With, Allyn expense.
Yeah, so these are our financials. You put them in
Okay,
there.
I'll wait.
Them.
Oh, wait,
Because, you know,
it's okay, we'll wait. I'll wait till Ted gets
Yes,
there.
give it in 1 minute, I need to
Yeah.
get it in.
You can have any bottled water up here.
Oh, yeah.
Classes and then-
Yeah.
Thanks. So that was easy.
Want to get brain out.
So we're still recording, or we parked the meeting, or we're still recording?
We're
still recording.
Okay, okay, all right.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole process,
But we, probably we've gotten it done.
well, that one, when we got the first response back and from Virginia.
We're getting it done.
Yes. No, I appreciate, I'm not appreciative, I'm just saying, wow.
Yeah.
Which,
It's been 2 years?
Huh?
Has it been 2 years or 1 year?
Well, I mean, depending on. First time I asked for a deal with the port was in 2018. Where I was gonna actually buy water from the port,
Right. Yeah.
not to go into the past too heavily. But it's one of those things that should, could happen. Everybody wants to want, but,
Things happen.
yeah.
I don't know what to say.
No.
Actually,
Part of it is you have to let go,
yeah,
because you can't unring a problem.
right.
It just makes, obviously, trying to get to yes a lot harder. I mean, a lot of this, like. Had policies been followed, in my opinion, one of those clauses would have totally disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we would have had it, we wouldn't have a debate, you would be paying money to the attorney, I would be paying money to the attorney to help figure out how to craft it. It would have been no problem. The problem is, and my attorney and I had this discussion. Because he was gonna chop at certain points, and then once he understood history, said, okay, makes sense. So. All we can do, that's why you always gotta start with that premise. Innocent till proven guilty. You can allege anything, but then, put it together. So.
Well, let's go ahead and move on. Thank you, Ted.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all right.
No problem.
Okay,
So anyway, that was, so we're done with the contract side, so we're now back on the budget.
yes, that's correct.
So it just. Leading off where I was discussing, I think there's a number of things that the board needs to look into. I'm not saying you need to go back to memory care people and say, you should have paid 45,000, not 25,000.
Yeah.
But there's a case in point where. There's got to be a check and balance. That's what I'm trying to say.
So Jeff, these recommendations that you're doing, particularly in the water system, please make a note of some of these and we'll write it down.
So you would like an itemized list of my complaints with the board?
Absolutely.
I need to look at it.
I can keep it to one subject.
Okay,
No, I don't even think there's a complaint, right? Because I'll listen to the suggestions that we need to be identifying with, because the old saying is, your biggest problem is you don't know where your problems are. But once you identify with some of the issues and problems, you can fix them.
And I'll ask the board straight up. I think most of the time when I'm telling you something or informing you something, I'm not BSing you
right.
or the board. And so, there's some thought put into, hopefully before I open my mouth. I mean, there's an initial reaction when I see it, but I usually don't say anything until I think it through. Try it at least.
So Jeff, can I ask a question? As the memory care permits have been processed and approved?
They've been processed, but there's an outstanding balance to the county, and so the.
So why would the Port of Allen anticipate any revenue off the memory care when that hasn't been approved?
Especially for 2024, since it'll take a good probably year to build, I would say you don't want to count any revenue.
Okay, all right, that's perfect. You answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, so, well, one thing I wanted to point out, Ken called me earlier and on the last draft of the budget, under Allyn Marina and Waterfront Park, the proposed budget was only 2,300 and it should have been 23,000. So we fixed that one, of the new one. It's fixed on the new one,
And I
but.
would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. I saw
It's
that.
like, is it right? I said, no.
On the revenues, right?
It's, that's expenses.
Did you guys ever look into where the seals expenses were?
We haven't made anything yet, but
Oh.
the insurance called during this meeting and they want to pay that out.
Oh.
Yeah, so
We want to look at
Here's-
reopening.
there's the old one. And that said 2,300. And Aaron fixed it to 23,000.
Oh, here, okay, yeah,
Okay,
gotcha.
did that make sense?
Yes, I got it. Yes.
Okay,
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 yeah,
here we go.
Ken's got a good eye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good eye, Ken.
So when we want to go back to the monthly reports?
yes.
Yeah.
please.
Okay, because this is, one of our loans, was for 14,000,
And where is that one on?
page 2. No, it's only 10,000, capital projects is 10,624.54, and that was part of the 14,000 loan.
I'm trying to find the capital projects.
So,
Very end of page 2.
page 2.
Oh, there it is. But it's, oh, there we go, okay.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to wrap my head around, I think that was the county loan. And we pay $788 twice a year.
Okay,
So that's in here. But I thought that 100,000 was supposed to be in there because that was the plan. But it's looking like that might not have happened. So I've got to call Kitsap Bank.
Yeah.
And see if
Yeah.
that's just still sitting there. but it was a line of credit.
Yeah, and
And
I
it
don't,
might have just run out, so it might not have anything to do with that, but I'll get details.
And we,
find that out.
and we can know that,
Yeah.
when, as soon as you know that, email us or something, or,
Yeah.
and or at least present it to us, come around the corner next week. Okay. Let me. I'm tracking everything you guys are talking about, and just waiting to, when you want to move on to some other line item here that need to be looked at.
Okay. Do you have other questions? Or do you want to go through anything else that you have on this?
No, I just printed that off because I wanted to see if that 120 was in there and be able to answer where the,
Yeah,
What is the Allyn Industrial,
that's our IDD.
that's what we have left?
Yep, 34,000.
This is 13. Oh, 34,000. Wow.
Yeah,
Ouch.
so that was another one. It should be 114,000.
Yeah, where did that go?
But if,
Borrowed from it and never paid it back.
but if that's the case, then the port has an expense on the general fund. That's
Exactly.
not showing up anywhere either.
We're gonna get there. We're
Okay.
identifying all these things. And we're gonna
And so I'll say this so that the board feels comfortable. I'm not one of these that gets, when the numbers don't match up, I don't get all. Like if we're in the negative to begin, I don't get all riled up about it, first we gotta pound it out and figure out the different things. So if I'm making you feel insecure for any reason, don't let it.
no, that's
No,
not gonna
it's
happen.
not.
No,
for me.
You're not,
I appreciate it.
no, you're not.
No, but I've been in environments. Let me put it this way, when I've been at the county and I start saying something about the sewer for Allyn or welfare. It makes some people nervous. Okay,
Yeah,
I mean. Not that people are doing anything wrong, but I think I mentioned in one of our meetings. When the county said to Sierra Leone Homes, you gotta design another different station to pump sewer. And when I went at it. It unfolded and it just, okay, it's going where we originally intended.
Yeah. Well,
So all I'm saying is when numbers don't reconcile out, and we have gaps, what have you. I'm not super, I'm not like some public where we got, we gotta do something about that right now. But obviously what we need to do is start reconciling the different pieces and say, okay, where did this go? Likewise, when you and I were talking, Judy, on the parking lot about the water system. I'm having trouble from 3 different years trying to follow the numbers through
mhm.
and what's happening. And I'm not saying we need to do that today. In time, yes, but not now.
Well, I would agree for sure, because we gotta nail a lot now.
Right.
Staplers out here.
So anyway, that's my 2 bits on that for now.
Okay.
well, that's what I wanna do, is I wanna literally go through item by item, on it, particularly 2 things, expenses that we need to cut. And then money that we need to be more aggressive on and should be coming back our way. And the third thing is a policy.
Computer. like-
And it's going back to what you're saying, humble pie is a good thing,
Sure.
to have, like, to eat, to chew on. And I don't mind also sharing that, there's a lot of discovery here for me that we need to immediately start addressing.
And I'm not saying that I've seen this correctly,
Mhm.
just something I could be missing.
Yeah,
Well, same here.
that goes for all of us here, right?
Right, so I'm not trying to come down and up on high saying, this should be this or this should be that, but if this is this, then we need to look at that. So did we adjust the income on the water system?
Leanne,
I wrote it on the.
It's up. Okay, on the water system revenue, and that, I'm taking the first line item, you have 50,000.
Yeah,
I'm assuming there's some that don't pay, you have to go after and all this kind of thing, but
Yeah.
technically speaking, with the rates that you published for 2024.
Yeah.
that fee and taking your average consumption of the last year, or my average consumption, you should be closer to 70.
Okay, well, it's in it
It
seventy.
even
Oh,
shows
human resources.
23 that it's a 65.
Now, are you referring to with the additional system that we're
Yeah.
requiring? Okay,
Yeah.
right, makes sense.
So that, and Ted, that does not include anything with memory care, that number.
Yeah, but what I will say, Jeff, we, we agreed upon a contract. It still hasn't been satisfied, so we can't anticipate any income until everything, your finances is taken care of, ecology is taken care of. I would go on the conservative side and go lower. That's just my opinion.
No,
Uh,
and I hear what you're saying, Ted. Let me
Okay.
throw a curve at you a little bit. So you have these other grants for like Oyster House and different things like this, yet we do plan to get the grants, yet we don't really know. So I totally, I get it where you're coming from, and I don't disagree with the concept. But you gotta have to have the same rule all the way across, if you're trying to figure out where you're gonna be. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And let me struggle with that for an evening and
Okay.
Okay. Let's keep going. I do have to get out of here by 4:30.
So we're gonna adjust, the revenue to 70, 50.
You guys gotta figure out policy.
No, not yet,
Yeah, let's wait.
not yet. So what I was gonna ask Leanne is, the email that she's sending, like these different areas that she's, taking the initiative to call and find out and things that, what the exact costs are. And then obviously we have some fees that some couple of small companies have waived, I guess, late fees, right? I would like to ask you, if the commissioner is okay with this, when you talk to Erin, is aside from doing what she's doing,
Yeah.
if she could make a list of the fees she's concerned about, but she's sending out an email, and she'll say, well, this is this issue that we might want to look at. Another email, same thing. But she can just do a bullet list of the things that we can break down and itemize. That it gives you a tool to investigate that noise, one,
Yeah.
and look at contracts if you're already doing it. So really, it's just a bullet list from her as a tool for us to see areas that we should be addressing. But it's also a tool for you to start going through phone calls, to get contracts or to
Yeah.
make notes on there for our next meeting. That's too much? Okay,
We're gonna print you guys out for your information, just the chart of accounts, and it's got the budgeted amount and the year-to-date amount, total break,
oh, okay,
total break.
oh, no, we need that.
Yeah. It's gonna be long because our chart of accounts. Is just crazy over the years.
I'm
About that.
glad to hear that we have that organized.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, it may not be accurate, but we have it.
But let's start, so you go through everything.
And we've been kind of jumping around.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet.
I will figure out how to print this off. It didn't print right. But that is our chart of accounts. And I think that's what everybody's looking for.
And that's what,
Yeah.
that's what,
It's got the year-to-date budget amount. This is where.
oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
These are all accounts and expenditures, right? Or that,
Revenues and expenses.
oh, okay,
That's
accounts receivable and that's.
Yeah,
All right, anyway, you're gonna print this out,
I will figure out how to get that printed out and email it to
that,
everybody.
I would love to see that, then I can actually look at it and feel like I'm reading something, like, I got my right hand wants to write stuff, you know?
I want you. And I'll get that to you.
Well, no,
too.
highlight certain
Thank you.
issues. So I'll use that as a tool to go through and highlight things we might shave off.
As far as
Yeah, but
the water.
yes, at some point, but I think I will come out a little bit differently, like to a particular project, i.e. like Cedar Land Homes.
Yeah.
And just see where that shakes out.
Right.
And he might owe us more because he might have more hookups than I know about.
Right, he probably will owe you more. If
Don and I.
When
have gone up
Yeah.
there.
the contract goes through, he will owe you more.
I've heard chatter about.
All right, well, we need to fix that, but also we want to keep him healthy at the same time we get the railroad close.
Could I make a statement on that?
Yes.
You know, I've been thinking about this whole thing about the policy, about how things are applied to Sealand versus others, okay? It's imperative that the port be consistently the same policy between developers, because there's been 3 different ones used, okay? I'll just say that. There's no use trying to fix it right now,
Okay,
but there's been 3 different approaches to it. And the problem that we're experiencing with Sealand Homes, had the port followed the policies, while you might not, you might be a little further behind on getting revenue from them, he wouldn't be in the arrears to you.
He wouldn't get the water availability.
Right, and then he wouldn't be able to build. So for example, on Blackwell Street, where 6 or 7 water adequacy letters were given, where the port had no water lines. Had the port not given that, he would not get the permit, because I couldn't give it. That's true. And this would have, again, this would have solved this whole water system problem a lot faster, because. You know, the pressure's going.
yeah. I get
So,
that.
so what I'm trying to say is, and just so you know, the county is guilty of the same problem that the port is. No, you're not alone. So I'm saying it's not, I'm not just saying it's a, you know, Larry should have done it this or not that way. The county had the same problem as the sewer. They should not have given him adequacy without trunks in the ground. I couldn't believe it. So we're playing catch up. Unfortunately, that allowed him to go to the banks and get $8-9 million worth of housing. Construction loans. But then he gets screwed because all of a sudden the county says, hey, we got to have our lift station in. Which is true. So finally the county stepped up and said, stop, but the problem is you got him going, so now he's sitting out there, so now he's struggling.
Sure, cool.
And all I'm saying is, if the county had followed their policy and the port had followed their policy, and I was following the policy. Well, he might not be as far building along as he could have been. He would not be in the rears to the port or to the county or to whomever.
That's a good point.
And so we've, in our race, I'll just say in our, you know, haste to get the connections and all this. And I believe some of that's related to the fact that I'm the competitor. And so there was a, you know, a pressure point on Larry. And so one way to beat the race is I got adequacy, I'll give it to him, even though it's in front of mine. That's fine. I mean, that battle's been done. But in doing that, we've created several different problems, and in the end, it's hurting us all. And we just have to understand that the port's policies, the county's policies, well, we may not like them and they get in the way of different things. In the end, it probably save everybody a lot of heartburn.
Policies are there to protect.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm just,
yeah,
it's kind of my soapbox with the port side of it, but just giving a side of how we got jammed up maybe.
But we need to just be very diligent, careful about rewriting our policy. All these.
Well, and right now, it's kind of like Congress. We have the policies right now.
I don't think we have all of it.
No.
well, let's get on the budget.
We have the policies to go forward even right now.
We're supposed to be talking about other things.
Yeah,
Oh.
get on the budget. I don't know if you want to continue it line by line, or shall I just go ahead and bring up some of my concerns,
Go ahead. That's good. Please do.
One of the other things that I know that we talked about the state auditor.
Yeah.
Are we still going to keep it at 9,000, or is that something we were just gonna put in a bucket? We're under expense and we're down under professional and technology.
So she didn't follow the one either.
Okay, so we're gonna take state auditor, because we will be audited for a couple of years, right?
Renewed.
Is there any elections? Do you have those kind of auditors?
You know, we just had.
Yeah.
if I can make a comment,
Go ahead.
there's an audit and there's a financial review. Do we want to do a financial review? Since we're changing executive directors,
We could, but usually the auditor of state, a financial review, who does that? Who would we call for that?
it would be the auditor. It'd be a lot less expense than an audit. So I do a financial review every 2 years at the United Way, and then I do a full audit. But financial review is to make sure I'm keeping up with everything. So if we want to look at a financial review cost through the auditor's office, that'd be one thing. Since we're changing executive directors, I'm just suggesting it. It's not something that I'm hard pat on. I'm just suggesting it. So
Do you have a budget amount? Because right now for state auditor is 9,000.
yeah, that's for audit. But a financial review would probably be about a third of that.
Okay, so 3,000, something like that.
Yeah.
You guys-
And that's what I would suggest is that we just make sure when Larry passed away, we just make sure everything turns over. So
So, would that suggestion be along the lines like after the first quarter of 2024, we do a financial review? Something to that
yeah,
effect?
yeah, we'd have to schedule with the state auditor for a financial review.
It's not a
But
bad-
it's a lot less than an audit. So,
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to just get our ducks in a row with what, everything we think we need to be doing to improve everything. And then just have a review of it after the first quarter of 2024.
So why don't we put 3,000 for state
Yeah,
auditor?
let's do that.
that'd be great.
It's a great idea, Ted.
So, Great American Financial IT Services, you inquired about that one?
Yeah,
Oh, and that's,
What was that?
the Great American Financial, that's a few lines down below the,
Right below the state audit.
yeah, right below state audit.
Okay.
yeah, so
Okay.
this is their breakdown. And our contract goes through 2026. And we're finding we are using them a lot more.
So that's 550 a month.
That's good. That's what we're saying.
And then, oh, so actually it's 700, you like to say it, 700, no, 900,000.
Would be a very important, so it's after an actual financial review, and go that route. Financial review now is definitely probably the best option, because we need to know where everything stands, at Larry's.
Yeah.
Oh, I stumbled across
And
something.
that's absolutely right.
Remember we were talking about the social media monitoring?
Yes.
I stumbled across Key West Police has a Facebook page and you can't comment. They can post,
Yeah, you can do that.
but you cannot.
Yeah, you
So
can do that.
that would protect us right there and we could get rid of the,
Yeah,
This,
just,
Yeah, nobody can chat with you.
Yeah.
With,
Yeah,
with,
fine.
with the page.
it's just information only going out.
yeah.
No, that's a
And
great
it says
idea.
it right at the bottom, no one can comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's our way on the social media platform, let people know what's going on about the.
Yeah.
There's no, where they,
We can post, but nobody else can
no,
comment.
nobody can do a public record request on it, that's the big
Yeah.
thing.
And then we can take that.
But isn't that the reason why,
Social.
that's the reason why we pay for that, is we, the concern was that somebody could put something on there that we didn't see,
Yeah,
Right.
that we need to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that.
yes.
No, that's an
I
amazing.
found it today, I was like, oh, there's our solution.
It is,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was just looking at enough things that the monthly fee is around 949. I've just rounded up to 950 a month. For Great American,
Oh,
that actually comes for a 12-month period, that actually comes up to 11,300.
yeah, this was year to date as of October.
Okay, so if we keep them and we have another yearly budget, then that should change to a yearly budget. Let's say 11,500, 11,000.
Yeah, and that's included in the 77,000.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Check.
are you okay?
No, I just made a comment, that you just tied up. So, okay, I said, comment, but I'm saying.
And bank fees, I asked her about 1,800, that's a lot for bank fees.
Yeah,
But what that is our credit card fees.
Right.
So
okay,
that's actually an in and out. We collect them and we pay them.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So that's a lot.
yeah, so if we change that.
But that would mean that you should also be showing that on the revenue side.
Revenue one, yeah.
That shows us our revenue.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, credit card fees collected.
so everything else is pretty normal to me, I think. Maintenance supplies, is there really any big expenses on that one? Cause that's at 6 grand, almost 7 grand.
Yeah,
Is that pretty normal?
yeah, Donnie usually spends about, generally about 200 a month. He has to get lumber to,
We're down
Log
on
off the top.
operations and the maintenance,
Okay,
operations and maintenance
Okay.
up below, and it's the
okay,
maintenance supplies.
all right.
and then if we're gonna take some of that out, those are some of the expenses we can break
Oh,
out.
for
by
water. Okay, so that, we can break it out, so make a note of that, then, that
Actually,
we're gonna change that,
all of it.
okay?
And she didn't change the travel I had asked, so she didn't, I emailed her this,
Okay,
but she didn't get it.
Okay.
so,
I mean, she got it, she didn't use it.
okay. So maybe that's something you can work on.
Yeah.
And then we can get a new one, you know, tomorrow or
Yeah.
whenever. Parking lot grading, that's probably a yearly thing, isn't it? That's on page 2. So there's always somebody doing donuts.
Yeah, it's kind of more of an on-demand thing,
Okay,
because you never can control when somebody's gonna come in here and spin out.
right,
But it hasn't been as bad lately.
okay, but we should
But,
budget, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe
there should
2
still be a
grand.
budget there.
Yeah.
Should we just budget 2 grand for that?
I don't think it needed to be done as much as it was, but otherwise you're having Donnie fill potholes constantly.
And I think
And
that includes the North Shore.
That's not very effective.
Yeah,
either.
sure,
Yeah,
sure, sure, well,
Yeah, cause he just did quite the grading and he's gonna need to strip it and redo it eventually here.
so are we gonna strike that out, or does that 2,800 still stand?
Probably,
I would say keep it.
Okay,
yeah, probably keep it.
all right,
There is a possibility with a little bit better advertising on the website and even Facebook about our chair rentals and tables. Along with our meeting room, we might be able to increase revenue there over the next year.
great,
Yeah, dock
Okay.
repairs withdrawn, it's not 42,000, it was, but that was reimbursed. I would say dock repairs are $100 or $500 a year. I'm sorry.
A lot of discussion going on the side. And it's really tough to follow, but,
Ted, one thing I was thinking, because I listened to one of them and I exactly know exactly what you're talking about. There's a point, and the county's having the same problem with a few of the Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
And that is, maybe we should look into a mic that's,
microphone in the middle,
yeah,
yeah. That's
that
true.
might get it clarified better.
No, I think I can actually bring one in that we can test
Yeah,
Great,
rather than actually buying one.
even you two are talking right now, alls I hear is garble. So as you two are talking back and forth, alls I hear is garble. So I think it's better if one person talks, other people listen, and then you could ask the people on Zoom. So it just gets way, even when you shuffle papers, it gets too noisy.
all right. So Travis was suggesting, or no, Jeff was suggesting a centerpiece with a microphone on it. Travis followed up and said he's got one he can bring in. That's what-
Yes, if we want to have meetings up here, that'd be great. I think we have better acoustics downstairs.
Yeah.
But if we have meetings up here, that'd be a perfect solution. So
great, thank you. Okay, you wanna continue on page 2? Are we still on page 2 now? I don't see any big red, oh, Expenses at gazebo, 4,200. That expenses? I think I'm on expenses, page 2.
You are.
Yeah, North Shore, right below North Shore Marinas.
That's,
Gazebo.
dock returns.
Yeah, the gazebo's all by itself. And is that a normal maintenance cost, and what does that entail?
Didn't,
I was wondering about that myself, because there's not a lot.
I got some short you, so talking to Don, he said they got the roof all cleaned out, there's some expense there, that we're not gonna be doing every year. That maybe that's part of what this number is in there.
Yeah. Well, perhaps we should ask Dawn and find out what we should allot for it, for a budget.
There you
There
go.
is something, obviously, but 4,200 is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Did you catch that, Commissioner Jackson? So the cost for the gazebo, the big number there for this year, 4,200. So Leanne's gonna follow up with Don and find out what, I was thinking maybe because we had the roof all cleaned and we have a bigger expense that we don't gonna have this year, 2024.
I did catch that, thank you, but we may have to do some painting.
Good point.
And if I can catch, I did get the highway lighting. I don't put this on anybody, but I would like to see what that highway lighting means. Again, I know it was explained to me years ago by Larry, but if we can reduce that amount, and you know, it's a state route that I know we're entering into the lighting to approve access to our entry point there on Dock Street, but do we need to keep on paying for that? Or are we paying for the lighting on Homestead? I'm just curious. And Leanne, please don't put this on any front burner. I'm just curious. So,
It's the highway lighting up Lakeland. And
yes,
it went into effect when we did the sidewalk. And it was in the contract that Rusty signed. I don't think he saw it. And my marching orders are to call PUD and see if there's a sunset on that.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm just curious, as I'm sure all of us are, but and then besides that, we have the highway lighting on Homestead. Are we paying for that, or is Lakeland Village paying for that?
yeah, we don't.
Okay,
We only pay the Lakeland Drive up to Wheelwright.
okay.
Well, the rest I'm pretty comfortable with.
Yeah, we just need to move some things around, and Leanne's got some follow-up to do, to get more information. And I'm good with where we're at right now, because we still have more work to do on it.
Well, and I'd kind of like to wrap this up in about 5 minutes,
I'm ready.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
If I could have, this is a personal deal with Leanne, Commissioner Sheridan, it's my personal deal. It's nothing else. I just need to let you know where I'm at in the next couple of days. So it's nothing negative. It's just my family's going through some things. So if that's okay, I don't mind if it's recorded, but I just need a little bit of time with the two commissioners and Leanne.
So will you need another meeting?
No, I would just like to give you an update on where I'm going to be. So,
Okay,
Well, that would be,
A meeting.
yeah. That'd be another meeting, and we can't do an executive session on that, so.
You want to just let me know and then
Yeah,
I
why
can
don't
let
you
the other
just
two know?
okay, that'd be perfect. I'll let you know.
Okay, so
Okay, Ted.
everything okay, Ted? Or not?
No, it's not.
okay, so gazebo. We had budgeted 350 year to date. And what I can do. Lab Jack got Okay, so when we fixed,
I hear you.
yeah, so that 4,200 for gazebo was actually slabjack for the park.
Okay,
So we can change that back down to, we can do 500.
Well, we can, talk to
Yeah,
Don,
talk to Don.
and then we're gonna bring that down.
Yeah,
Remember though, he was talking about might have paint issues.
true. Well, we do need to budget something, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like 1,500 or 2,000.
I don't know that we'll be painting next year with our budget like this.
so we can propose budget, say, and then if we don't use it, then we got something
Yeah,
that we don't have to spend.
Yeah,
All right.
because even with this new, it's still 68,000
What else you got?
in the whole.
What else you got?
Oh, water. Well, she's already, I emailed her just a little while ago, and she said that's easy to do the 15% in.
Okay.
I'll call her
Okay,
and tell her she missed these other ones.
okay.
And that's, we're talking 2,000, 2,000, another 1,000,
Yeah, and
6,000.
yeah, we're getting a little closer, and then you're gonna send us that email with the full meal deal.
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
I can see, knowing that we're working through this contract. And it looks like there'll be additional things happening that your attorney's gonna be doing,
True.
that
We do need
That,
budget.
that's not one that you need to do 15% on, that's more specific. I wouldn't go 15% on that.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I do.
Because you got legal this way, that one you kind of have concrete boundaries. You know, for water versus general.
Yeah,
so what I was thinking, and I have to call Commerce and ask is, we're approved for 488,000. Our deal with you is 447,000.
Right.
So if we might be, I've been keeping a list, we might be able to get reimbursed for legal fees,
Right.
Northwest Water Systems.
We're gonna
you know,
explore all that.
Yeah, anything, our time.
I would be careful, you know, looking and using the crystal ball, okay? I hear what you're saying, don't disagree with it, but just keep in the back of mind that you're also trying to develop your system. And you need, and it may all work out, but just know that you're trying to develop and you're bringing, you're, you know, like. I assume sometime this year that either I or Red Door or their agent will be proposing some type of thing with the booster to service that area of the plat this year.
this year.
Right, but I'm not saying bring it anywhere in the revenues, I'm just talking about that. In doing that, there's things the port may have to do. And we'll go through the process, in other words, for example. And this is a theoretical, say they propose something. But okay, are you, and again, this gets into the agreement of this, so I don't want to get too far down the weeds. But as an example, the port, it may be identified that the pump that's currently in my well needs to be upgraded.
Right.
So obviously some portion of that should be to Red Door as they expand it.
That's a good point.
But some of that may be to your general thing because you're trying to use your water rights. Which is part of this whole issue, you know, that's why I was asking also why possibly you would not even do the project because you have this obligation to water rights. But now I understand this, but anyway, I'm just saying that be careful how you apply that and think it, you know.
We'll keep you in mind.
Well, maybe we can talk to Holly too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see if there's an operational funding or something like that. Probably not, but it's worth asking.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd kind of like to wrap this up. I have to,
Yeah. I'm good with wrapping it up. I'll make a motion that we wrap this up.
okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you. Bye.
Forgot to do good in the order.
Oh,
I think that.
This is the good of the.
Yeah, there was a chat video.
No, to get this contract.
Yes, it is very good.
This has impact